Christians are one of the most persecuted groups in the world today, facing discrimination, violence, and marginalization in various societies. Despite being a dominant faith in many countries, Christians are increasingly being targeted for their religious beliefs, practices, and values. This phenomenon is evident in both majority Muslim and secular societies, where Christians are often viewed with suspicion, hostility, or disdain. One of the primary reasons for Christian persecution is the growing trend of secularism and relativism in Western societies. As traditional Christian values are increasingly seen as outdated, restrictive, and intolerant, Christians are often marginalized and excluded from public discourse. This is particularly evident in the media, academia, and entertainment, where Christian perspectives are frequently mocked, distorted, or ignored. Moreover, the rise of secular humanism has led to a decline in religious freedom, with many governments and institutions seeking to suppress Christian expression and worship. In majority Muslim societies, Christian persecution is often fueled by extremist ideologies that view Christians as infidels or apostates. In countries such as Pakistan, Egypt, and Indonesia, Christians are frequently targeted by terrorist groups, militant organizations, and even state-sponsored persecution. The rise of Islamic fundamentalism has created a culture of fear and intimidation, where Christians are forced to live in hiding, practice their faith in secret, or face severe consequences. This persecution can take many forms, including forced conversions, kidnappings, and violent attacks on churches and Christian communities. Another factor contributing to Christian persecution is the growing phenomenon of nationalism and identity politics. In countries such as India, China, and Russia, nationalist movements have led to a resurgence of anti-Christian sentiment, with many Christians being viewed as outsiders, foreigners, or threats to national unity. This has resulted in increased surveillance, harassment, and persecution of Christian minorities, particularly those from ethnic or linguistic groups that are perceived as alien or disruptive. Furthermore, the digital age has also played a significant role in Christian persecution, with social media platforms and online forums being used to spread hate speech, propaganda, and misinformation about Christians. This has created a culture of online harassment, where Christians are frequently subjected to ridicule, threats, and abuse, often with little or no consequences for the perpetrators. Additionally, the ease of online communication has also enabled extremist groups to recruit new members, disseminate their ideologies, and coordinate attacks on Christian communities. In addition to these factors, Christian persecution is also driven by economic and political interests. In many countries, Christians are seen as a threat to economic or political power, particularly if they are involved in social justice activism, human rights advocacy, or environmental conservation. This has led to the targeting of Christian leaders, activists, and organizations, often through false accusations, arrests, and imprisonment. Moreover, the exploitation of natural resources, land grabbing, and displacement of Christian communities have also become common tactics used to persecute and marginalize Christians. Despite these challenges, it is essential to recognize that Christian persecution is not a new phenomenon. Throughout history, Christians have faced various forms of persecution, from the Roman Empire to the Soviet Union, and from the Inquisition to the present day. However, the current wave of persecution is distinct in its scope, scale, and complexity, with Christians facing threats from multiple directions, including state-sponsored persecution, extremist ideologies, and cultural marginalization. In conclusion, Christian persecution is a complex and multifaceted issue, driven by a range of factors, including secularism, extremism, nationalism, and economic interests. As a result, Christians are facing unprecedented levels of discrimination, violence, and marginalization in many parts of the world. It is essential for governments, institutions, and civil society to recognize the gravity of this issue and take concrete steps to protect the rights and freedoms of Christian minorities. This includes promoting religious freedom, combating hate speech and online harassment, and supporting social justice activism and human rights advocacy. Ultimately, addressing Christian persecution requires a collective effort, one that prioritizes empathy, understanding, and solidarity with persecuted Christians around the world.